All right, let's dive in today. We're going to be exploring Sreeleela.
Sreeleela.
Now, some of you might know her as that rising star in South Indian cinema. But what we found really, really interesting is how she's kind of become this like fashion icon too.
Yeah, she's really interesting, isn't she?
Yeah.
Kind of captivating everyone with her acting. But then there's this like whole other side to her too.
Yeah. Exactly. And we've got like a whole bunch of articles and interviews and even some like bio info to go through today. So we can really get into like how she became so famous and what her acting choices kind of tell us about her.
Yeah.
And then we'll like really dive into like how her style has changed so much.
Yeah, because it's not just about like what she wears, right? It's about how she uses fashion to express something deeper about herself.
Yeah, like where she comes from and all that.
Exactly.
Okay, so first, like let's start with like her background a little bit.
Okay.
So she was born in Detroit, Michigan.
Wow.
Not really the typical place you think of for a South Indian film star.
Yeah, that's true.
Makes you wonder how all those different cultures kind of like shaped her, you know?
Yeah, well, her family's really connected to Indian culture, though.
Oh, okay.
And get this, she even studied classical dance.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty big clue right there, I think.
Totally.
And here's where it gets even more interesting.
Okay.
She was actually studying to be a doctor, like getting a medical degree while she was trying to act.
No way.
Talk about dedication.
That's incredible.
Right.
I mean, it really shows you how disciplined and ambitious she is.
Totally.
And, you know, we have to remember, like, her family was pretty traditional, so getting permission to act is probably not easy.
Not at all. It makes
Yeah.
you think about like all the stuff happening behind the scenes, you know?
Yeah, all that personal stuff we don't see.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of personal stuff, we can't forget about her close relationship with those Kannada film stars. What were their names again?
Radhika Pandit and Yash.
Radhika Pandit and Yash, that's right.
Yeah, she even calls them Akka and Jiju, which is like elder sister and brother-in-law.
Oh, wow. So they're like family.
Basically.
Yeah.
It seems like she has a really good support system in the industry.
Yeah, that's so important, especially when you're first starting out.
For sure. Having people who understand what you're going through.
Right, people to guide you.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about those early days in Kannada cinema.
Yeah, okay.
Like films like Kiss, they really showed off that like girl next door charm that she had.
They did. She was really relatable.
Yeah.
It really connected with audiences, but I think it was Bharate, that movie with Sreeleela.
Right.
That's when her fan base really solidified.
Yeah, that was a big turning point for her, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
And you know, that success kind of opened the door for her to move into the Telugu film industry.
Which is where things get really interesting.
Yeah, because that's where she started taking on those more like challenging roles.
Right, roles with more depth.
That really showed off like how talented she is. Okay, let's talk about Pushpa 2, The Rule, for a second.
Okay.
I mean, starring alongside Allu Arjun in that movie.
I know, that's huge.
In such an action-packed sequel, I mean, that's a big jump.
Yeah, and her character in that movie is really fascinating.
What do you mean?
It's not just some random supporting role. It's like a really strong character that brings something different to the story.
Oh, wow.
Especially in a story that's usually like all about the guys.
So she's not just there for the ride, she's actually driving the story forward.
Exactly.
Wow, and then you have Baby John, which is like totally different, right?
Oh yeah, Baby John is all about young people and relationships and figuring yourself out.
Yeah.
It gives Sreeleela the chance to show a different side of her acting, you know?
Like a softer side.
Yeah, like a vulnerability, but also this inner strength.
It's amazing how versatile she is.
I know, right?
Okay, so we've got this rising star taking on all these different roles.
Yeah.
But where does the fashion icon part come in? Because that's what we're really here to unpack.
Well, think about it. In her early movies, her style was very much like that girl next door vibe.
Like simple and elegant.
Yeah, lots of traditional clothes.
But as she got more famous, something changed.
It's like she leveled up her whole image, you know?
But it wasn't like a sudden thing, it was more of a gradual evolution.
Exactly.
And there were some key moments that really helped her transform.
Like what?
Well, one of the biggest was her red carpet appearances.
Oh yeah, at those award shows.
And movie premieres.
She really started turning heads with her outfits.
It was like she was saying, "Hey world, get ready for the new Sreeleela."
I love that.
From those fancy gowns to those incredible embroidered lehengas, she was just captivating everyone.
And then there were those collaborations with like the top Indian designers,
Like who?
Like Manish Malhotra, Sabyasachi, Mukherjee Gaurav Gupta. I mean, these are huge names in the fashion world.
Yeah, those partnerships really took her look to the next level.
Totally. From beautiful to iconic.
And we can't forget about social media, especially Instagram.
Right. She's really active on there.
That gave her fans a chance to really see her style changing, you know?
Yeah, it was a smart move. It let her connect with her fans on a more personal level.
And showcase her style evolution.
And even influence, like what's trending.
It's incredible how she mixes traditional and modern styles to create her signature look.
It's like her own unique blend.
She's not afraid to try new things like those bold silhouettes or those cutting-edge designs, but you can always see those nods to her heritage.
There's a tricky balance, but she makes it look effortless.
Yeah, and that's where I think it gets really interesting.
What do you mean?
Well, like, what does this fusion represent, you know? Is it like a reflection of what young Indians want? And how does it challenge those traditional ideas of beauty?
Those are great questions.
I think those are the things we need to explore to really understand what Sreeleela's style evolution means.
Totally. It's about way more than just clothes.
Yeah, it's like a statement about her culture and who she is.
Exactly, and that's what makes her so fascinating, you know? She's using fashion to express something deeper.
Yeah.
Something that people all over the world can relate to.
Okay, so as we move into part 2 of our deep dive, we're going to explore those deeper layers.
Sounds good.
We'll look at the cultural significance of her style choices,
Okay.
the impact she's having on the fashion industry, and ask ourselves, could Sreeleela actually become a global fashion icon?
I can't wait to find out.
Stay tuned because we're just getting started.
Welcome back. So we were talking about Sreeleela's style and how she kind of blends the traditional and the modern.
Right, like it's more than just her own personal style though, right?
Totally. I think it reflects like this bigger change that's happening, especially with young South Indian women.
It's like she understands what's going on right now, you know, like the whole idea of mixing East and West.
Yeah, and she does it so well.
Yeah, with so much grace. It's really inspiring to see her embracing both sides of her heritage.
And the fashion industry is definitely paying attention.
Oh, yeah.
Designers see her as like a muse, you know, representing this new wave of style.
That's so cool. And it's leading to some really cool collaborations too.
Yeah.
We're seeing traditional Indian crafts being used in these like modern designs.
In ways we've never seen before.
Exactly. It feels so fresh and new.
It's like giving these ancient techniques a whole new life.
And making them relevant for a global audience.
That's the key right there.
Yeah, it's almost like a cultural exchange happening through fashion.
I like that.
And Sreeleela is at the center of it all.
She's making it happen.
What I find really remarkable is that her influence isn't just limited to high-end fashion, you know?
Oh, you're right.
You can see it everywhere.
Yeah.
Like in everyday clothes.
Yeah.
The way young people are experimenting with their style.
Yeah.
Mixing and matching pieces.
Like Sreeleela does.
Exactly.
I mean, it's a real sign of an icon, wouldn't you say?
Totally.
When their influence goes beyond just the runway.
It reaches everyday people.
Right.
So it makes you wonder, like, how far will this go? Could Sreeleela actually become like a global fashion icon?
It's possible.
Like, could we see her on the covers of international magazines?
Oh, yeah?
Walking those runways in Paris and Milan?
I could totally see it.
She's got the talent, the charisma, the style. I mean, she's got it all.
And don't forget, she already has a global following.
That's right. Her social media reaches way beyond India.
It's huge.
That message of empowerment, individuality, and cultural pride, you know?
Yeah.
It's connecting with people from all over the world.
From all walks of life.
Different backgrounds.
It's really amazing.
And this brings us back to something we touched on earlier.
What's that?
It's not just about the clothes.
Right.
It's about what Sreeleela represents.
It's about breaking down barriers and challenging stereotypes.
Showing the world that you can be modern and traditional.
Global and rooted in your culture.
All at the same time.
It's powerful stuff.
Especially in today's world.
It's about embracing all the different parts of yourself, you know?
Yeah, like acknowledging that identity isn't just one thing.
It's a whole mix of influences.
So where does this leave Sreeleela?
Yeah, what's next for her?
Well, if we look at her career so far, I think she's on her way to becoming a superstar.
Oh, definitely.
We could see her taking on even bigger roles, you know?
Yeah, more challenging projects.
Maybe even Hollywood.
Who knows?
She can achieve anything she sets her mind to.
Oh, I agree.
And we're just seeing the beginning, you know?
It's true.
Think about how much she's already evolved as an actress and with her style.
Yeah, who knows what the future holds?
It's pretty exciting to think about.
It's like we're watching a star being born.
And an icon evolving.
It's a powerful combination.
That could change how we see not just South Indian cinema,
but the whole global fashion scene.
But before we get too ahead of ourselves, let's take a minute to recap what we've talked about so far.
Okay, good idea.
It's easy to get caught up in all the excitement, but it's important to remember the key points.
Yeah, you're right.
So we started by looking at Sreeleela's background.
Right, born in Detroit, but with those strong ties to Indian culture.
Studying to be a doctor while pursuing acting.
Talk about ambition.
And then we traced her journey through the film industry.
Those early roles in Kannada cinema.
That breakthrough performance in Farate.
Every step has led her to where she is today.
And of course, we can't forget that amazing style evolution.
From simple elegance to fashion icon.
It's been quite a transformation.
Driven by those incredible red carpet looks.
Those collaborations with top designers.
And her smart use of social media.
She's created this unique signature style
that people all over the world are loving.
And she's inspiring so many fans.
Influencing the fashion industry.
And becoming a symbol of cultural pride and empowerment.
It's all connected to this bigger trend, don't you think?
What do you mean?
The rise of South Indian cinema.
Oh, yeah.
The way cultural boundaries are disappearing.
And all these new voices are coming out.
Reshaping the creative world.
And Sreeleela is right at the forefront of it all.
She's a perfect example.
She's redefining what it means to be Indian, to be global.
To be a modern woman in the 21st century.
And it all comes back to that question we asked earlier.
About whether Sreeleela's style could inspire a global fashion revolution.
Right. And that's something we'll continue to explore in part 3 of our deep dive.
Yeah, wait.
We'll look at the bigger impact of her success.
And what it means for the future of Indian cinema and fashion.
So stick with us as we wrap up this amazing journey into the world of Sreeleela. All right, welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into the world of Sreeleela.
It's been fascinating, hasn't it?
We've covered, so much.
I know, right?
Her background, her acting, and of course that incredible style she has.
She's really one of a kind.
Yeah, and I think her success actually tells us something really important.
What's that?
About, how the whole entertainment scene is changing, you know?
Oh, yeah, tell me more.
It's a sign of how South Indian cinema is becoming more and more popular around the world.
You're right. For years, films from the South, especially Telugu and Tamil films, have been gaining a wider audience.
Yeah, even I've noticed it, here outside of India, there's this growing interest in South Indian films.
It's pretty cool, right?
What do you think is causing that?
Well, I think streaming platforms have had a huge impact.
Yeah, makes sense.
They've made these films available to everyone, everywhere.
Yeah, but it's got to be more than just that, right?
Oh, definitely. I mean, these films offer something different, something fresh.
Yeah, like what?
They're visually stunning, the action is incredible, and they often explore really complex themes.
It's like they're not afraid to push the boundaries.
Exactly, and experiment with genres.
And that really appeals to people who are maybe looking for something different from Hollywood.
Totally. And Sreeleela, with her global upbringing and her strong connection to Indian culture, she kind of represents that blend of East meets West that everyone's drawn to.
It's like she's riding this wave of popularity, but she's also amplifying it, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
She's not just a product of this trend. She's actively shaping it.
Yeah.
Contributing to the conversation about what Indian cinema can be.
Makes you wonder if her success is a sign of what's to come.
Maybe South Indian cinema is about to explode onto the global stage.
Can you imagine?
It could change everything from fashion to music to how we see cultural identity.
Wow, that's a lot to think about.
It really is.
But it's also really inspiring.
It is. It just goes to show how interconnected the world is becoming.
Cultural barriers are fading away, new voices are being heard, and Sreeleela is a perfect example of that.
A young woman who embraces tradition and modernity.
Blends cultures effortlessly.
And encourages us to be ourselves.
And I think as we wrap up our deep dive, that's the most important thing to remember.
Well said. So, to everyone listening out there, we hope you enjoyed exploring the world of Sreeleela with us.
Yeah, we encourage you to keep the conversation going. What resonated with you most about Sreeleela's story?
What do you think the future holds for South Indian cinema?
Share your thoughts, keep exploring, and stay curious. And until next time, happy deep diving.